In today's society where globalization and the internet have led to a much more informed and connected world, and thanks to this, it's very easy to identify how the human being by nature is negative and always look for the black spot where everything is white. Since our ancestors have tended to focus on the bad over the good, since it has allowed us to survive many threats, and this is why it is something that is inherited from generation to generation. The negative instinct is something natural due to the feeling that as long as things are bad, it's heartless to say they are getting better. Also, this instinct originates from the fact that humans tend to remember the past and think that it was a better place. Moreover, humans tend to have an overdramatic worldview since the world still suffers from many inequalities, and in the modern world, the photos and speeches of people or even entire countries that are in need become very vital. However, over the years, the world has always improved, and it can be said that it has been a better place for the people. In the year 1800, for example, 85% of the population lived in extreme poverty, and in the year 1966, around 50%, and currently only 9% of the people lived in extreme poverty. So this data indicates that we have had an immense growth in humanity. Also, the human brain tends to jump to quick conclusions without much thinking, meaning that the first bad thing they see is the one they pay most attention to and think is the most important. Likewise, the brain is attracted to gossip and dramatic stories, which explains, for example, the success of novels and series on television, since most of these exaggerate what happens in the lives of the characters. To prevent your negative instinct from being stronger when making decisions or receiving some type of information, first and most important, you must think before act. Apart from these, other ways to prevent the negativity instinct is to expect bad news, since that is how you are going to normalize if something bad happens, and you will see everything else that happens as something good. In addition, you must be aware of the story, of the history, in order to be able to relate events that occurred in the past with things that are happening today, and thus be able to expect the outcomes. Something that is also very important is that you must be aware that every day the world is improving and being a better place. This can be easily verified with statistics. Lastly, you must be careful when analyzing data with less than 10% of difference, as this means that this is a slight difference and can cause a misinterpretation of the data. An example of how we are affected by the negative instinct can be the news, since the digital and physical media are in charge of advertising and making their negative news shine much more, since these are the ones that people go to first. With these media can have a larger audience since they give people what they are looking for. The downside of this is that people who make good acts or have new creations often do not have as much visibility as other things, since they are seen in the background. Another example can be the cost of renewable energies, since many people are already aware of the change that must be made towards renewable energies, but many people have not yet decided to make this change, either due to misinformation or fear that it may be much more expensive. In this, we can also see a negativism, since, for example, in 1976, solar panels cost around $66, and currently they cost less than $0.6. One last example of how negative we humans are can be evidenced in how we always believe that we are destroying nature and causing environmental damage, when in reality, for example, statistics such as that in the 1900s, only 0.03% of the Earth's surface was protected, and currently more than 14.7% of the surface is being protected, either by national parks or other reserves. These three are just a few of the many examples where the negativity is reflected. In addition to this, in everyday life, people tend not to be a critical thinker and get carried away by instincts such as the negativity. For example, in the current world situation with the war between Ukraine and Russia, it can be seen reflected since from my own experience, I interact more with bad than good news, since this generates a certain curiosity and attention for me. So this does not give me any benefit since it makes me sad to see situations like this that occur at this time. And also it can affect my mood and how I act during the day. Finally, critical thinking can be very beneficial for the behavior of humans, and some benefits of them can be that it reinforces the problem solving ability. Also, it helps with the stress that is a really important disease in the 21st century. And also it makes you a more helpful and positive person.